My boyfriend is going on a road trip with his girl best friend. I'm F18 going to try to word this the best I can so people understand where I'm coming from. This is sort of a part 2 to an earlier post. My boyfriend M21 of 4 years is going on a trip with his girl best friend for a couple of days. It used to be a week-long road trip, but I think they've shortened it to only 3 days. I wouldn't say I'm worried about anything happening on the trip. I trust my boyfriend and his girl best friend. It's the fact that he knows it bothers me but still does it. He always tells me it's because he's a people pleaser and has trouble disappointing people and saying no. Sometimes, I wonder if he's as worried about disappointing me as he is with his friends. When he first told me about the trip, I expressed how uncomfortable it made me. But with how insecure I am, I didn't trust myself to make him cancel the whole trip based on how I felt. It feels selfish of me. A couple of people suggested boundaries or that it's the respect in a relationship, but I just don't trust myself enough to enforce any boundaries. I feel like I'll become toxic and have unrealistic standards. We're long distance, so it feels wrong for me to tell him not to do things like this. If I were there, he'd take me along. It'll be a couple of years before he and I meet. I know there should be boundaries that involve respecting the relationship, but it feels unfair for me to have these boundaries when I live so far away. I want him to enjoy his time with his friends, girl or boy, without my insecurities getting in the way. All I do is make him upset when I talk to him about how I feel. He starts to feel like he's a bad boyfriend, which is the last thing I want. After I told him how I felt, he apologized and said he could not go. But who am I to take that experience away from him? I don't feel my feelings or thoughts are important enough to stand in his way. Sometimes, between me and any of his friends, I feel like I'm not much of a priority. But I'm sure it's just me being jealous that he's hanging out with them instead of me. Even after I express that I'm upset, he stays hanging out with them instead of coming back to me. He says it's because he hates disappointing people. Leaving them in the middle of hanging out would disappoint them. But at the same time, where am I in this? Am I even relevant? I feel selfish for being upset and jealous. I want him to enjoy his time without having to worry about me and what I think. I feel confused about if my feelings are justified or if I'm being selfish and insecure. Even if I learned that my feelings are justified, I wouldn't say anything because I don't want him feeling worse after it's too late for him to cancel the trip. Then he'd just be miserable for no reason. He's already packing for it, and they've already looked at stops and places to visit. For future reference, I still want to know if I'm justified in how I feel for my own sanity. I know this isn't the last time something like this will happen. I could use the advice. Please, nobody suggest I break up with him. I want to try solutions and fix how I feel. I won't take that advice if it means leaving him. I'm just very emotional right now, and I want to see this from a logical standpoint. Thank you for reading 3 TLDR. I feel selfish for the way I get when he's hanging out with his friends and don't know whether I'm justified in how I feel or not.